What's going on, guys? Today, I want to talk about something that I wrote about a few weeks ago, which is called gaslighting. And this pertains to a lot of things, but in general, I'm speaking to a certain audience, people who have tinea versicolor. So, I'm someone who has been able to reverse the infection. As you can see, my skin, I've gotten rid of the fungi, and I have been able to reconquer my complexion. My complexion has come back. And I want to pretty much tell my story and explain to people how I was able to do it. And the first thing that always I find challenging is being able to connect and explain to someone else the service that is actually taking place. And the reason is because, yeah, people with tinea versicolor are being gaslit. You are being gaslighted. And this is because the information about tinea versicolor is just not cohesive. And by no means am I a doctor or a scientist or anything like that. But after having looked at all of the information or most of the information that's out there, it becomes pretty obvious that there is something that no one wants to address. And that's the fact that tinea versicolor is a hormonal issue. You have TB, and chances are you're dealing with a hormonal issue. You go to a skin doctor, but the skin doctor is not an endocrinologist. You go to the endocrinologist is going to refer to their research, and the research that they're going to have, there's no information acknowledging the fact that tinea versicolor is a hormonal issue. And specifically, what I mean is that tinea versicolor is an estrogen issue. It's an estrogenic issue. And I posted an article a few weeks ago on my Substack about the fact that there are no researchers or there's no one looking at the fact or just the idea that tinea versicolor, the Malassezia yeast, are involved with estrogen. Do they use it? Do they not use it? What is the relationship to it? In over, I think, 1,200 studies ever carried out in the last 100 years, no one has thought that estrogen is involved with Malassezia yeast. It's ridiculous. Honestly, it's just ridiculous. Like it's a form of gaslighting. It appears that somebody doesn't want to research this information, and that's because if they did, then they would have to address the obvious fact. Estrogen is, of course, involved with many yeast infections. As women, tend to have yeast infections when they take a contraceptive, which is estrogen, or certain times during their menstrual cycles, which is also when they have surges of estrogen relative to progesterone ratios. And so, just that alone, you can see the correlation, but it still seems like there is nothing backing that idea up in the database, which then goes back to why you go to an endocrinologist. They've got some solutions for you, but at the end of the day, 8 out of 10 people with TB have a recurring infection in 2 years, and 6.7 out of 10 people have a recurring infection within 1 year. And so, this is why, because the endocrinologists don't have the information to support holistic healing, and the skin doctors are, going to prescribe you things topically that will do what they do topically. But at the end of the day, if they're not addressing the association to the problem between tinea versicolor and estrogen, then they're never really going to address any kind of long-term solution. So that was a long-winded video. We're at 4.5. I'll leave it there. I could talk about this all day. It's quite frustrating, just because honestly, I came from a really low place with this stuff, man. My skin was really just on another level of extremely, just terrible, and at the same time, it really took a toll on me mentally, and in some relationships, and just it becomes a part of your whole life. And honestly, I think karmically, if that's even a word, the right thing to do is to make sure that I put this information out there to let someone else have a chance at actually beating this thing for themselves. The first thing you have to do if you want to get rid of tinea versicolor is realize that you are being gaslit. I'll see you in the next one.